Welcome everyone. I've got a standing practice for you today, and we're going to be doing our standing poses with a focus on your big toe. So your big toe is really important for standing, walking, running, all the things you do on your feet. And it's really important when we're doing standing postures in yoga. For some of us, we're going to feel it's pretty easy to connect with our big toe on one or both feet. But for the rest of us, those of us who might have difficulty finding the big toe, keeping the big toe really pressing into the floor, can be really helpful to add something to help us feel a little bit more what's going on and to have something to really be able to press into. So for this practice, we're going to use a strap. If you don't have a strap, anything similar will work. You just need enough length to place it underneath your big toe and to be able to hold the ends in your hand. We're going to come to the mat. We're going to start with the right foot. So we'll take the strap and you're going to place it underneath your big toe. And we're going to try to get the pad of the big toe, the part of the big toe that really presses into the floor, on top of that strap. And then you're just going to stand normally, other than the strap under the big toe. You're going to hold the ends of the strap in probably your right hand, but you could also use both hands if that is more helpful for any reason. You're going to stand and just feel. So you're going to notice, right, we've changed something about what you normally feel when you stand. So you're going to notice that you're aware of that big toe perhaps on the strap, right? So this is going to give you a little something, and you might even spread your toes gently. Think about pressing that big toe down into the strap. Now, we're going to shift the weight onto the right foot. So to do that, we don't want to be, I'll turn and face, we don't want to be shifting by sticking the hip out or letting the hip drop down or anything like that. We're going to think about, as we're shifting over, just keeping the pelvis level and allowing the pelvis to come over to the right a little bit more. So you're standing on the mat, you're going to shift your weight onto the right foot. You're going to feel that big toe pressing. You're going to lighten that left foot up. Now you get to decide how fast or slow you move here. So you're feeling the big toe. This is not about achievement necessarily. We're maybe changing a pattern for some people, so it might feel a little bit weird. So you're going to really think about big toe pressing. As the left foot lifts, you're going to step that left foot back in space and you're going to come into a lunge. Now, if it works for you, you can have that back heel lifted for more of an Anjaneyasana type shape, right? If that's not feeling great for you, you could bring that back heel down, more of a Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1 type posture. Either way, you're using this strap just to feel into what's happening in the big toe, right? So heel down or heel lifted in the back leg. You might bend that back knee a little bit. Big toe is pressing into the strap. It's going to feel a little bit different. And you might even think about just gently extending that tailbone down and forward, maybe hugging the legs together a little bit like you're trying to slide your feet in towards each other. That's going to change the feeling in the legs. Just noticing what's going on here, right? Then we might straighten that front leg, either dropping the heel to the floor, or if your heel was already on the floor, all you need to do is straighten that front leg. Now you've shifted your weight a little bit. You're going to notice what it feels like in the big toe. Then you're going to bend the front knee, come up on the heel again if you're doing that. And then you're going to start to shift your weight forward, step that back foot in. You're going to float that back leg. If you want to come a little bit towards a Warrior 3 pose, you can do that. You're just maintaining contact through that big toe. And then you're going to come upright. Maybe you're going to step that left foot forward a little bit and then bring it down to the floor. Standing on both feet, notice what you feel. So you might have noticed having something under the big toe gives you a little bit of a different focus as you're moving. Some people might have noticed their balance improved. Some people might have noticed their balance was a little more difficult. Difficult is not necessarily worse. It's just we're focusing differently. We're changing the mechanics of how you balance, and that can be challenging. So we're going to place that now around the left big toe. Not uncommon for the two sides to feel different here. So stand first. Feel that big toe on the strap. Feel that big toe connecting into the floor. Maybe, because you just had the strap on the right foot, maybe you can feel some residual awareness now in the bottom of the right big toe too. We're going to shift the weight to the left. So remember, the pelvis stays level as you shift your weight over the left foot. And then you're going to lift that right foot up. Now, you get to choose how fast or how slowly you step back. When we go more slowly, we need a little bit more control. Either coming into that Anjaneyasana lunge type shape with the back heel lifted, or if you're more comfortable having that back heel down, more of a warrior one shape. You notice I'm not too worried about what this front knee is doing as long as it's comfortable for you. We're really focused though on that big toe. The side might feel different. Just to be here, right? You might bend that back knee. You might even extend the tailbone down and forward a bit. You might imagine hugging your legs together. All of these are going to change a little bit how the pose feels, but we're still staying connected to that big toe. And then you might straighten that front leg, either grounding through the back heel, or maybe it already was grounded. This changes up again, where's your weight? And then when your weight shifts, what happens to your big toe, right? Then we're going to come back forward into that bent knee, noticing how that feels. And then you might start even shifting your weight forward, maybe stepping your foot forward a bit, maybe coming up towards a warrior three type posture on this side, toes staying nice and grounded. Take your time coming up. If it feels good, you might bring that right leg forward and balance for a moment before placing that right foot back on the floor. And then the last thing I would do here is removing the strap from the feet. Take a moment and stand, right? So residual awareness, maybe in the left foot, maybe even still in the right foot. Just feeling that grounding through the big toe. You might practice shifting your weight to one side. Just, moving your foot around a little bit just to see what it's like now to maintain that big toe focus. Coming onto the other foot, shifting the weight, maybe seeing what you're feeling here, right? The two sides are going to be different. Humans are asymmetrical. It's all good. So nothing we need to fix there. It's really just about building some awareness around the big toe movement and then seeing how that translates as we move through the poses. So sometimes we recognize that we're moving through the poses with those big toes maybe lifted or lighter in certain parts of the movement. And so this is just a great way to build that awareness. Not a way you need to practice all the time, but kind of interesting to explore, especially if you've got stuff going on in your feet. If you have any questions about this, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you noticed when you did this practice. Please do share. And feel free to explore this in other types of standing postures as well. Take good care, everyone. May we all be balanced and well. Thank you.